And well, how the heck are you? This time the Beer Whisperer, doing my beer and whiskey thing at the moment. I'm drinking my last Joseph Sproul Pilsner, 5% 32 IBUs, accompanied with about a jigger of some Bushmill single malt neat. I just did a video on the rock, and I'm going to have some neat. So this is one of those videos I'm going to do that is more of a pub conversation than talking about the beer. I've got a beer friend on various social media, and I'm not going to mention his name because he may not want me to. So without knowing if he does or not, I'm not going to mention his name. He comments on a lot of my videos, but they're kind of odd, right? Sometimes he leaves comments that aren't connected to my video one way or the other, and sometimes they're just one or two words. You know, he'll say something. But anyway, on one video, I did talk. We were on vacation. We're at Seamus McDaniel's, and he commented melancholic videos. So I had to go back and watch the video again. So usually when I do the videos, I never go back and watch them again until somebody comments, and I've got to go back and go, oh well, you know, find out what they're talking about. So there's one brief moment in the video over about 5 minutes. The video itself is about 5 minutes, but there's one brief about 30-second part in there where I talk about Seamus, but then I go on and I'm talking about other stuff. So I'm not sure how he got melancholic unless he just watched that one small snippet. But again, I went back and I thought, well, you know, it's more introspective to me than melancholic. But by golly, if you want me to get melancholic, he said melancholic, but you want me to get all melancholy on you, I will, by golly. Here we go. It's funny though, every once in a while I'll talk about Seamus. For those that don't know, you know, our son Seamus got leukemia when he, this is hard to talk about, February 13th, well, depending on where we were actually sent to the hospital on February 13th. We got the official diagnosis on February the 14th of 2012. He got through the induction, he went through remission, he was doing great. Everything was doing great, and then he relapsed, and this time we didn't get out of the hospital. And we lost him on April 23rd of 2013, but every once in a while on a video I'll talk about him. But then, you know, it's funny. There's just a small snippet about Seamus in that video, and I don't see that. I've watched it a few times now just to see how he got it, and I don't see that to be melancholy or sad. But I kind of wonder how folks, you know, sometimes folks, you talk about something like that and it makes them uncomfortable. And I've said several times that I use these videos as sort of therapy. You know, I don't go to a shrink. I use this medium, making these videos, and everybody that chooses to watch me as my virtual therapist, I suppose. It just sometimes it helps to get it out, and I don't want to talk about it in a room with a therapist. I just want to sit outside, have a beer or a shot of whiskey, and then I'll talk about it. So here now I'm going to talk about it. By golly, you brought it up. I almost said his name, but I'm not going to, just in case you don't want me to mention your name. It's tough, you know. Seamus had never been sick a day in his life. You know, people go, really, when I tell them that, but it's true. I mean, he never had a cold. He never had the flu. He was never sick. He had perfect attendance from kindergarten up to the 6th grade, up until he was diagnosed with leukemia. He was never sick. So he had the perfect immune system to having no immune system, just like that, and nobody could tell us what the hell happened. It is very frustrating. And I've said this before too. I'm not saying anything new here so far. I'm just stringing it all in one video. You know, I've said before that we never entertained the notion of losing him until it became inevitable. You know, we never treated him different. We were always onto something new. We knew he was going to get better until it just became inevitable that he wasn't. So I'm frustrated. You know, you can't help but second guess yourself. You know, my wife and I, you know, we talk to folks and we say that, you know, most couples don't survive something like this. They just don't. They split up, and I think a lot of that is because I think they tend to blame each other. My wife and I have such severe self-esteem issues we didn't blame each other. We blamed ourselves. We went internal, both of us. So I know we both lean on each other a lot. I don't think we, I know I couldn't have made it without her, and I think she feels the same way. It's just we're the only two that understand how each other feels. It's very frustrating when people say, "Well, I know how you feel." No, you don't. You don't have a rat's. You don't know. You don't have a fucking clue how I feel. I don't care what your situation is. You don't know how I feel any more than I know how you feel. It's a stupid phrase, and I wish it was just stricken from the vernacular. It needs to go away because nobody ever knows how anybody else feels about anything. Now you can say I empathize or I sympathize, but you can't say you know how I feel because you have no frickin' clue how I feel. Oh, there you go. See, it does help to get that off. I've said that in more than one video. Sometimes you have to say it more. Anybody that's ever gone to a shrink knows sometimes you say things more than once. You have to keep repeating it. Yeah, well, so... Our daughter is older, so our lives, became focused on Seamus, And Seamus was just an amazing individual, too. I mean, he had, like I said, he had perfect attendance. He got mostly A's. He was well-liked. I wouldn't necessarily put him with... It's hard to pinpoint Seamus because he didn't really belong to any one group. And it was the most interesting thing that at his memorial service, which was held by his school, and we held it right after school so most of his classmates could attend if they wanted. And we also opened it up for anybody to speak that wanted. And it was very interesting, the folks that got up to speak. The school chose a couple folks that spoke beautifully, but then we opened it up, and people from all walks jumped up. The jocks, the nerds, the whatever other groups are in middle school these days, and they all said basically the same thing about him. That he always made everybody feel better. And I've never seen any... my nose won't quit itching. He always made everybody feel better. And I've never seen anything like that. And I even had some of those kids say the same thing, that, he seemed to cross all cliques. Everybody liked him for whatever reason. He was never the most popular kid in any of these groups. But every group seemed to accept him because he was different. He invented this look. And when he first started doing it, nobody else was. But by the end of the school year, other kids were dressing like he was. Now, I don't think it caught on nationally, but it was funny. But the look basically was, Seamus was kind of an awkward guy, and especially after going through chemo, things were difficult. But anyway, he actually invented it before he had chemo, but it just became comfortable because you had to be comfortable. But anyway, the look basically was basketball shorts. He liked them long. And it was sometimes a polo shirt and a fedora. Sometimes it was like a sleeveless shirt or a t-shirt and a shirt over that, but it was always the basketball shorts. It's not something you usually do, but it was funny because he just did what he wanted. He didn't worry about being popular. He didn't worry about fitting in. He was just always who he was. And I think that's why he fit in with every group, because he was always who he was. He never tried to change for anybody. But the funny thing was, like I said, by the end of the school year, I would see other kids. I was, Seamus, look, he stole your look. Yep, you start to see, because it was comfortable. It was a comfortable look. It looked good. It was neat. So anyway, I guess sometimes when I talk about Seamus, it's sad. Because it is sad. I lost my best friend. We did everything together. We went to concerts together. He was just an amazing kid. He was just amazing. I always said he was the very best parts of my wife and I, without any of the bad stuff. Seamus just did everything right all the time. And I know that's an odd thing to say, but he just made the right decision all the time. He always made the right moral decision every time. He never discriminated. He never hated. He never judged. He just didn't do those things. I wouldn't say that he was deeply religious, but I know he believed in God, and he always did the right thing. Oh, well, thanks, cat. So anyway, I kind of got off track there thanks to my cat knocking everything over. Anyway, he just always did the right thing. So, sometimes it helps to talk about it, sometimes it hurts. My wife, it's difficult with my wife and I because sometimes we'll talk about certain things, but freaking cat gonna knock everything over. She's trying to get my attention. Grief is different for everybody, so sometimes I don't want to break something up if I think it's going to upset her, and I know she does the same thing. So anyways, I've ran this one longer than I need to. There's more I wanted to say, but since my cat's about ready to destroy everything, I think I'm going to stop here. I am going to get sad for a second. I was going to stop, and then something entered my mind. It's okay, oh my God, I'm going. It's tough. I mean, there are parts of every day where I don't want to go on anymore. Now, that's not saying that I consider committing suicide, because I don't think I ever have. But there are times where you just don't want to go on. There's portions of every day where I'm sad, and there's a pain that's in your soul that you can't describe. I know I'm not going to convince anybody that there's a God or a powerful being out there. I'm not going to convince you. I have no proof, but I have seen things and heard things and felt things that I can't explain, and it's enough for me to believe that there's something out there. Again, I can't really convey it to you. It's nothing I can really explain, and I certainly can't prove it. But I know what I felt and seen and heard. Before losing Seamus and after losing Seamus, there are times I know I feel his presence around. Again, I'm not gonna try to convince anybody of my beliefs, nor am I gonna try to tell people they should believe a certain way. But I'm gonna believe the way I believe because of what I felt personally, and I think that's what we all should do. Whether you believe or not, or how you believe, you shouldn't try to push your beliefs onto somebody else. We should let people be who they are. Just be a decent human being. Don't judge people for who they are, whatever religion they are or whatever they are. Let people be who they are. As long as they're decent human beings. If they're assholes, yes, tell them you're being an asshole. But don't get on them just because they have a different religion than you or whatever else the difference may be, because we're supposed to be different. God made us to be different. And it's one thing I want to take from Seamus is Seamus never judged anybody for anything. So I'm going to try to do the same thing. And the thing is, I can never live up to the person that he was, because he was just an amazing human being. But I need to try my best and keep moving. And that's the only thing that kept me moving forward in the early days, when we first lost him. The only thing that kept me from doing something stupid was actually the thought of disappointing him. I didn't want to disappoint him, so I keep moving. But there are parts of every day, sometimes it's the better part of the day, to be honest with you, that I just don't want to go anymore, that I'm just so sad, I'm so ate up with sadness, it's tough to go on. But you do, and the thing of it is, sometimes it's hard not to let other people see it, and I just try not to. There are a select group of folks that I let in, but for the most part, I can go from being sad, I walk into the door and see people, and I'm smiling and I'm making jokes, because that's what I do. I try not to let folks on a daily basis see how sad I am. That's why I talk to a camera. And then if anybody wants to listen or chime in and offer support or suggestions, they can. But for the most part, I just don't tell anybody anything. So I love you, Seamus. I miss you terribly. You know who you are out there. who made a melancholy comment. So here's your melancholy video, by golly. Sometimes it all builds up, and I just gotta talk about it. And I use, again, I don't always post these, to be honest with you. Sometimes I just do them and they're gone. But I do post a few of them. I just lost it. I do post a few of them out there. This one's going to be long-winded, and I apologize. Watch it if you like. Hey, break it up and watch 5 minutes at a time. So hey, I'm Tom the Beer Whisperer. Those of you who have been supportive, and even you that made that comments, you're all right. I like you. I just didn't want to mention your name just in case you didn't want to know. But that's Tom the Beer Whisperer, and I'll talk to you later.